The 2016-2017 college football season has been interesting, and despite the existence of a 4-team playoff, there still was controversy over who should have been given the shot to compete for a national title. Should Penn State have gotten in for winning the toughest conference in America? Should Oklahoma have been given a shot despite their 2 tough non-conference losses? What about the MAC champion Western Michigan? They are undefeated. What if an 8-team college football playoff existed with conference champion automatic qualifiers and a group of 5 representative and 2 at-large teams? Let's start things off with Battle of Undefeateds. Number 1 13-0 SEC champion Alabama going for their 2nd straight national title, and number 15 13-0 MAC champion Western Michigan, who are coming off their first MAC championship since 1988 and going for their 2nd straight and 2nd ever bowl victory. The scoring starts as the Broncos defense holds strong, forcing this Alabama field goal. Closing out the first quarter, Western Michigan would tie things up with a field goal of their own, but Alabama would respond on their next drive with another field goal. Surprisingly, the first touchdown of the game comes on the feet of the Broncos' Franklin. Midway through the third, they would tack on another field goal to take a 7-point lead over number 1 Alabama. Alabama would tie things up heading into the fourth on this 6-yard touchdown pass. They would then take the lead early in the fourth on this 24-yard touchdown pass. Fourth down and inside the red zone, as time is running out, Western has a chance to tie, but the pass is incomplete. Western Michigan falls to Alabama in the Battle of Undefeateds, 20-13, but overall their season is a success, and more importantly they might have proven Alabama might just be beatable, as the Crimson Tide move on to the Peach Bowl. We now move over to the Tax Slayer Bowl, between number 2 ACC champion Clemson and number 7 Big 12 champion Oklahoma, in a matchup of 2 teams returning to the playoff after their appearance last year. Oklahoma starts the scoring early in the first on this 16-yard Baker Mayfield touchdown pass. Clemson would tie things up on their following drive with this 4-yard touchdown run. Baker Mayfield would strike back, hitting D.D. Westbrook for a 69-yard score. Clemson would respond with a field goal, and then with another one a drive later. In the closing seconds of the first half, Oklahoma would add one of their own. Midway through the third, Clemson is going for the lead, but Deshaun Watson's pass is picked off in the end zone. Oklahoma would add 3 off the turnover. Early in the fourth, Baker Mayfield would scramble in for a score. Late in the fourth, Clemson would bring the score within 7 off this play. Oklahoma would win it though, 27-20, to advance to the Fiesta Bowl. We now move over to the Citrus Bowl, in a rematch of the highest-rated game of the season. Number 3 Ohio State and number 6 Michigan. Will the Wolverines get their revenge for their double overtime loss, or will Ohio State once again come out victorious? The scoring starts with this short Michigan field goal. Ohio State would respond midway through the second with this 17-yard touchdown. Michigan would fire back though, with this 4-yard touchdown. Not to be outdone, the Buckeyes offense would make quick work of the Wolverines, and J.T. Barrett would power forward for this 15-yard score to retake the lead. Michigan comes back firing though, with time running out in the first half, with Wilton Spieth hitting Jake Butt over the middle for a first down. Then he would hit Amara Darboh on the sideline to get within field goal range. They would hit the field goal, going into halftime down by 1. Midway through the third, they would take the lead with another one. Ohio State would respond with one of their own to retake the lead. Then late in the fourth, Wilton Spieth would reclaim the Michigan lead with this 9-yard scramble. They would then go for 2 to go up by 7, but Chris Evans is stopped short. Ohio State would start their drive with great field position after this great kick return. Ohio State would then quickly move into Michigan territory on this play. They would then overcome this 4th and 1 to keep the championship dream alive. They would then move the ball inside the Michigan 10 on this play. And they would cap it off with this 8-yard J.T. Barrett touchdown pass. And that would do it. Ohio State wins its 2nd straight instant classic against Michigan in back-to-back games, 23-22, to advance to the Fiesta Bowl for a rematch against number 7 Oklahoma, a team they already defeated once this season. We now move over to the Liberty Bowl, between number 5 Big Ten champion Penn State and number 4 Pac-12 champion Washington, in a battle to see who will play Alabama in the Peach Bowl. Things start off great for the Big Ten champions. as they pick off Jake Browning for a 7-0 lead on the first snap of the game. Washington would not be put off though, as they would tie things up on this monster 66-yard Myles Gaskin touchdown run. Penn State would come back though with a touchdown of their own early in the second. Washington would respond with this field goal, but Penn State would follow that up with one of their own. Midway through the third, they would extend their lead to 2 touchdowns with this perfectly placed 27-yard touchdown pass. Washington would then cut the lead down to 11 with this field goal, only for Penn State to bring it back to 14 with one of their own. They would then extend it to 21 with another beautifully placed touchdown pass from Trace McSorley. Jake Browning would then shrink the Penn State lead back to 14 with a long touchdown pass of his own. But that's as close as it would get, as Penn State holds on to the win, 34-20, to advance to the Peach Bowl versus number 1 and still undefeated Alabama. Now that the first round is complete, we can now move on to the semifinals, starting with the Peach Bowl between number 1 Alabama and number 5 Penn State. After a scoreless first, Alabama finally gets points on the board through this Jalen Hurts touchdown pass. Penn State would knot things up on their following possession with this Trace McSorley touchdown run. Alabama would then reclaim the lead in the third on this 21-yard Bo Scarborough touchdown run. They would then tack on this field goal to start the fourth. Then later in the fourth, Alabama would score again on this Jalen Hurts scramble. Alabama rebounds from its close game against Western Michigan to pummel Penn State 24-7 to advance to the national championship game. Game 2 and another rematch for Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl. Once again they are playing a team they defeated earlier in the season, this time in the form of number 7 Oklahoma. Will they come out victorious again, or will Oklahoma have the last laugh? Ohio State jumps out to an early lead late in the first as J.T. Barrett finds Terry McLaurin for a 51-yard touchdown. Oklahoma would cut the lead to 4 midway through the second. But just as the first half is coming to an end, Ohio State would score again on another long pass as J.T. Barrett finds K.J. Hill. And then after a scoreless third, Ohio State would extend their lead to 17. But Baker Mayfield comes back firing, hitting Abdul Adams on a screen pass, who carries the ball for a 71-yard pickup. Mayfield would then finish the drive on this option keeper. Then on their next drive, they would cut the Buckeye lead to 3 as Joe Mixon powers in for the score. Oklahoma lines up for the onside kick, but it was recovered by Ohio State. Number 3 Ohio State survives the comeback attempt from number 7 Oklahoma to advance to the national championship game against defending champion and undefeated number 1 Alabama. A rematch of the second ever college football playoff game is the setup for the national championship, a game that Ohio State came out victorious. Will the same result occur, or will Alabama get their revenge and complete a perfect season, possibly putting themselves in conversation for the greatest team of all time? Ohio State gets on the board first off this Curtis Samuel 11-yard catch and run. And then they would jump out to a 2-touchdown lead as Jalen Hurts is intercepted and returned all the way for a touchdown. But they would cut the Buckeye lead back down to 7 with an 11-yard touchdown of their own at the end of the first. Ohio State would then pick 3 of those points back up with the field goal as the first half is coming to an end. But midway through the third, Alabama would cut the Ohio State lead down to 3 as Ardarius Stewart catches his second touchdown of the day. They would then tie the game early in the fourth. And then when they would take the lead with under a minute left on this Bo Scarborough touchdown run. In desperation mode, J.T. Barrett would make a poor decision, and his pass would be picked off, sealing the game for the Crimson Tide. Alabama gets their revenge for the game 3 years ago, as well as claiming their second straight national title and completing a perfect record.